we are not experts, we are not military people, we are not any of those. We're very simply citizens of this country. And with the reaction and the helplessness and the frustration and the anger to some extent after 26/11, one felt that there was a need for a much greater participation of the common citizen.
When we called them up some time back and said, what if there is an air crash near Delhi and 300 people need medical aid? They said, that's not our job.
India has been waging the longest war against jihadi-inspired terror groups. And of these, the Mumbai attacks was the most visible, prominent example of what they are capable of doing.
टेररिज्म को काउंटर करने के लिए क्या इंतज़ामात हों, अरेंजमेंट क्या हो, सिक्योरिटी क्या, कैसे बचाया जाए अटैक्स से। एक वो लोग हैं जो लड़ रहे हैं और जान देने के लिए तैयार घूम रहे हैं, और दूसरे वो लोग हैं जो जान बचाने की फिक्र कर रहे हैं।
India's rise has been almost despite the state. It is a rise built by the people from below. And he said, you mean that India has risen with one hand tied behind the back? That was his expression.
The entire concept of private profit and greed versus social equity is actually a Western concept. It is in no way an Eastern concept.
I've often heard this entire issue discussed. As you know, either you have, if you are having development, somebody has to pay the price, and therefore these people have to give up their land.
We have come to a stage in this country where I believe we are tempting people with dishonesty. We're not tempting people with honesty. And when the whole benchmark of temptation and desire changes, you will see the kind of problems we do.
Capitalism must die. The good news, capitalism must be reborn, must reinvent itself.
The problem with capitalism, people say, is greed. Greed is good, Gordon Gekko said that. And you know what? There is nothing that you can do, and perhaps you should do. There's nothing you should do to prevent greed.
Humans are not animals. We are only 99% animals. And that 1% difference comes from the fact that we have a cerebrum.
Because energy security is critical, and I'm telling you the threat is real. It's going to happen. You will lose your ability to provide the critical services that you have to provide. So having an approach is absolutely essential.
Most of the fresh water is locked up in the ice caps, in glaciers on mountains. There's only about 3,700 kilometers of fresh water around, and not all of it is readily accessible either.
The whole phenomenon of terrorism that we are now facing on a global scale because people have
taken recourse to violence to settle perceived injustices, failures of equity.
We've set in motion a three-tier with the Navy, the Coast Guard and the Coastal Police in trying to plug the loopholes. You have naval patrolling, radars are being bought. Some of the institutions, that is the private sector enterprises themselves, are buying small radars to protect their own industrial establishments. If you ask me, are we fully protected? No.
Terrorist organizations have now begun to increasingly target CI assets for very obvious reasons. They happen to be the soft underbelly, but can inflict enormous economic damage.
The phrase internal security, no less important than threats from external security. And in fact, national security has two components which are interlinked: internal and external security.
I'm acutely aware of the fact that 2611 has become a symbol in this country of the terrible damage caused by terrorism. You can understand that in the United States, 9/11 plays the same role. It was a transformative event in the history of the country.
Unless there is a tranquility in the society, unless there is harmony in the society, unless there is a mutual respect on the part of the individuals to other individuals, in such a society, discontentment will develop.
The whole idea is that first they should go and secure the place. Normally what happens when there is any kind of situation, there is just a chaos, nobody knows what to do.
We now start looking at the worldviews, perceptions. How people look at things differently. And I think in a sense, it may make us a little more comfortable with looking at the kind of things that are happening in our country.